Not only are they finding the bodies, but they're going to find a big fucking log in shitter. The smell of that.
This podcast contains graphic descriptions that some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Now, with that being said, welcome to the Mortal Musings podcast.
Right, let's do this.
So Neil's been through the wars this week.
Don't talk to me. 2 incidents this week.
Mm-hmm.
Gave myself a blood blister at work.
Yeah.
Decided to see what happened if I hit my finger with a hammer.
Yeah, he also super glued his fingers to the glue tube.
Oh, yeah.
Tube of glue would have sounded more correct there.
That actually hurt to rip the super glue packet off my thumb.
But that's not even the worst of it. You injured yourself at home, didn't you?
I nearly had to go to hospital.
Share with the class, Neil.
So, Monday morning, Megan was going out, but I got up before her and I was doing a bit of editing. And she had this little poxy Christmas tree, which is about 1 foot tall.
We don't have a lot of space, so I'm making the best of it.
But I know Megan really likes Christmas. I'm not bothered about it. So I thought I'll wait until she goes out and I'm going to nip to the shop.
To the shop, yeah.
Get a tree, a proper tree, get some decorations, get some lights, learn how to professionally put lights and everything on the tree. So I go out, I get all this stuff, I come home and I think, right, I've got 2 hours to get all this done before she's back. And I don't know what happened, but the tree toppled over.
When ours over to
at one point. Now, I'm not bragging, but I can lift some weight. This tree, it's only a 6.5 foot fake tree. Doesn't weigh a lot, but for some, when it toppled over, I caught it, and I must have caught it at a weird angle, and I heard something snap. So I put the tree down and looked at my wrist, and
it was on backwards.
It was like a weird T shape on my wrist, swelled up. First thing I was checking is if I could bend it, and I could bend it, so I was like, right, it's not broke. But something didn't feel right. And then anything I tried to do, I couldn't get the grip properly to do it. So I ended up losing my rag and I gave up. So by the time Megan came home, she'd got a for tree in the safe room.
Yeah.
Light safe done. And me sat on the bed. Oh no, I was trying to change the bedding.
Absolutely devastated, might I add.
Yeah. And the first thing she did when she looked at my wrist is looked underneath my wrist at the other side of my arm. And I thought, what the fuck is she looking at? And she went, there's a bone sticking out. Brilliant.
Well, that's what it looked like. But you seemed... It didn't look great. And I said, right, well, we need to go to the hospital then. And you're like, no, I think it's okay. Like, I can bend my wrist and everything. I think it's just sprained.
Yeah, I was... The only worry is if it was a fracture.
But it's been...
If it's a sprain, I don't want to go to hospital for a sprain.
It's been a couple of days and you're fine.
Yeah.
Swelling actually went down pretty quickly. But when I first came home and saw it, I was like, that does not look good. But you're all right.
And this is what I get for trying to be nice.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not nice. When I try and be nice, it fucks me.
Fucks me too. I spent the whole day sorting out the fucking house. Shit everywhere.
So on a positive note, we've got some shout outs.
We do indeed.
So we've got Hazy D, which the only name I can come up with is Purple Haze, which wink wink for any weed smokers. Purple Haze.
420 blaze it.
Have you heard of Purple Haze?
Blaze.
Okay. And then we've got Tiff under knee.
Mm-hmm.
Who got knees?
Tiff, because she has knees.
Yeah, Tiff under knee. Tiff. And then who else?
So we also have Rob, who joined our highest tier. He is now a VIM.
Which is a very important mortal.
Rob Roy. I know he likes a drink, doesn't he?
Hey, Bobby!
Yeah, he knows about his drink, doesn't he? I don't actually know what's in a Rob Roy. Do you?
Rob Roy?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's a drink. I don't know what's in it. I'm sure Rob Roy will get back to us and let us know what's in it.
Well, no, because he's a beer drinker, isn't he?
Well, he might know. I don't know. You know, I'm putting a bit of faith in him.
Okay.
And last but not least, we also have...
Yeah, what was that? What was that?
We also have Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, stunning voice.
Carolina John. I don't know, he takes the piss out of me a lot in that fucking Facebook group.
He does. But I mean, it has to be done. Someone has to do it, and he has assumed the responsibility. So
basically, we have the Facebook page, which is just... It's just for us to post on Facebook when an episode's getting uploaded. That's all the page is there for. But to be more interactive with us, we have the group. And in the group, anyone can post. And it doesn't matter it doesn't matter who it is or what the post is. 9 times out of 10, if he's in the comments, he's targeting me. He's linking me to the post.
This is the thing. I'm pretty sure I have it sus. Jonathan is sat there at his computer waiting for some type of mention of you or for you to post him. He's like, we got him. I'm on it. I'm getting him. But no.
Absolute bastard.
Tiffany, Hayes, John and Rob, we want to thank you all. We appreciate your support. It means the world to us. Appreciate you.
They can always sit at our table. You know, like the horrible bastards at schools when like, excuse me, this is our table?
This is our table?
Well, they can sit at our table.
More the merrier.
So with that, so what have you got for us today?
Today we are going to be talking about the murder of the Miyazawa family, also known as the Setagaya Family Murders.
That's 2 different families.
No, so Setagaya is the area.
Okay. Oh, you're going to have fun with this one.
Yeah, before we get into it, I will say that this is a Japanese case. I've tried my best with pronunciations, but please forgive me if I'm getting anything slightly off.
I can help because
you're a linguist.
I know a bit of Japanese. It is my mother's tongue.
Did you mean to say that?
What?
You said mother's tongue, not mother tongue.
Is that not right?
It's mother tongue, like motherland, not mothers. Right, with that, so we'll get into it then, I think, yeah? On the morning of the 31st of December in the year 2000, a neighbour of the Miyazawa family phoned their home as she routinely did most mornings. But this time, the call goes unanswered. As time passes and there is no call back, she grows worried and decides to head over to their home. She rings the doorbell, but there's still no response. It just wasn't like them. So at about 10:40 a.m, fearing something might have happened, she lets herself into their home. As she enters the home and makes her way through, she finds the body of 44-year-old Mikio laid in a pool of blood at the foot of the stairs. He had been stabbed to death. Wounds were predominantly found on his thighs and buttocks, but there was also puncture wounds to his arms, chest and face.
See, I was going to say, he only had knife wounds to his bottom half, but isn't there like a main vein on your leg?
Yeah.
If that's cut you, that's it, you're fucked.
Yeah. But there was also to his arms, chest and face.
Yeah. So that'd do it.
Up on the landing, there laid the bodies of 41-year-old Yasuko and 8-year-old Nina. Both had suffered multiple stab wounds to the face and neck. In the bedroom adjacent to where Yasuko and Nina's bodies were found was 6-year-old Ray. He had been strangled to death as he slept in his bed. Now, the neighbour who had the misfortune of discovering this grisly sight was actually Yasuko's mother, Haruko. So, for a bit of background on the Miyazawa family, they moved to this neighbourhood in the Setagaya ward of Japan in 1991. Mikio worked for Interbrand, a London-based marketing company, and Yasuko was a tutor. The family were described as humble, hard-working people. Nina was described as a bright young girl who had a love of ballet. And their youngest son, Ray, who had a developmental disorder, was said to have been showered in love and support by his parents.
So there's no one from the family missing?
No.
Okay.
When they first moved in, it was a fairly populated area with over 200 residential buildings. But over the years, the majority of the neighbours had sold on their land to the city, who had hopes to expand the nearby park. By the year 2000, the once energetic landscape had turned into a quiet, almost isolated setting with just 4 homes left in that area.
4?
Mm.
So it's gone like proper rural.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
It's the way rural. You like punched it.
Rural.
Rural. I can't say it either. Now, out of these 4 houses that was left, one of them was actually owned by Yasuko's sister, and that was where their mother Haruko lived. Because Yasuko's sister spent much of her time in England for her husband's work, the house was pretty much free for their mother to inhabit, and Yasuko would also use this space for her tutor classes.
Okay. So out of the 4 houses, this
2.
family was 2 of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They run this neighbourhood.
Yeah. Half of it.
The family were planning to soon move out of the area as well. But Yasuko was worried about her children having to readjust, particularly Rei, who may have found the move a bit more difficult to cope with. So let's talk about what happened on the night of the murders. It's thought that an intruder entered the home through the window of the second floor bathroom at approximately 11:30 p.m.
I'll tell you what, one good thing of them owning half the properties, if it's a neighbour, there's only 2 houses it could be.
What?
Because they own 2 houses.
Yeah.
Out of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a neighbour who did it, it's only one of 2.
Could be your family.
Oh, yeah.
It's usually someone you know. It's thought that an intruder entered the home through the window of the second floor bathroom at approximately 11:30 p.m. So the bathroom where it's believed he entered is right next to Rei's bedroom. The intruder attacks Rei first. Next, he makes his way down to Mikio. He produces a sashimi knife and stabs him repeatedly, so brutally that fragments of the blade were later found in his skull.
Is that the fish knife?
Yeah, it's for
thin.
It's for thinly, like when we get sushi and I get like the pieces of salmon.
Yeah.
Like that's salmon sashimi.
Yeah, okay.
He then leaves Mikio to bleed out. He makes his way back through the house, up towards the attic, where Yasuko and Nina were sleeping. He attacks both of them, inflicting multiple stab wounds with the now broken sashimi knife. As the killer then goes to switch out the blade to a kitchen knife he had taken from the home, Yasuko, who's bleeding out, grabs Nina in her arms, carrying her down the stairs, before the killer catches up to her. Yasuko was attacked with such brutality that her bones would become exposed as a result of the attack.
Fucking hell.
Nina was then stabbed in the back, injuring her spinal cord. It's thought that Nina may also have been beaten, given the fact that 2 of her front teeth were missing as well. Now, all of this is just absolutely horrifying, of course, but it gets even creepier. After the intruder murdered this entire family, well, he decides to just sort of hang around for a bit in the home.
So it's one of them weirdos.
He helps himself to some ice cream. 4 ice creams, to be exact.
4?
4. He also tucks into some cantaloupe. And he washes all this food down with a nice cup of barley tea. He then takes plasters and sanitary products to patch up a wound, likely to his right hand. He heads downstairs, where he rifles through their drawers, sifting through documents. He then brings one of the drawers upstairs and dumps the contents into the bathtub. Following this, he takes a shit in the toilet and doesn't flush.
Oh, that's disrespectful, that. That is a sign of disrespect, that.
That's one of the...
So not only are they finding the bodies, but they're going to find a big fucking log in shitter. The smell of that.
He then dumps the contents of Yasuko's handbag and Mikio's wallet, as well as household keys and a white towel stained with his blood, into the toilet. So
they've got his DNA.
Yes, they do. Investigators are getting there and they're like, oh, look at all this shit dumped in the toilet. Then they move it and there's literal shit dumped in the toilet.
See, that's even more disrespectful because he ate their food.
Yes.
Shat it out and didn't flush it. Like, it's a double whammy, that, isn't it?
It really is. At 1:18 a.m, he uses Mikio's computer to access the internet. While on the computer, he creates a new folder and he also visits a website for a theatre that had already been previously bookmarked.
On that computer?
Yeah, I don't know why he created a new... I think he just wasn't very tech savvy.
Okay. You keep saying he.
Well, we know it's a guy, and even if we didn't, the likelihood is that it's a man.
Okay.
Or from any of this activity, are you thinking a woman? I can't see a woman shitting in the toilet and walking off, if I'm honest with you.
Well, it should do that if it were to make it look like a man had done it.
I don't mean to be sexist here, but I just feel like it'd be more of a guy thing to do than...
Well, no, because that's why you'd be a shit killer. So... If I was a woman,
Yeah.
If I was a woman, I would do stuff like that so the cops would come and go, well, this is clearly a bloke. The dirty bastard shat in the toilet and left it.
Yeah.
No woman would do that.
No woman.
So if I was a woman, I would do stuff like that.
So anyway, that's the last we know of a more definitive timeline of the killer being within the home. There was activity on the computer at around 10 a.m, so it was theorised that the killer had remained in the house for quite some time. But years later, this was sort of debunked. It's thought that the most likely reason for the second connection to the internet was that when Yasuko's mother arrived, she had accidentally knocked the mouse. You know, she had just seen that and kind of leaned back, hit off the desk, you know. When police arrived, the monitor of the computer showed the website for Interbrand, the company that Mikio worked for. But that was what his homepage was set to, so it's not like you would have had to search to go onto it.
Yeah.
You could easily knock it on. So, with the notion that the killer could have been in the house up to 10 a.m, that kind of hindered the timeline that they'd been working off of in the case.
Okay.
For years, they were working off the assumption that the killer had been on the property pretty much right up to the point that Haruko had arrived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But with the revelation that it's most likely an accidental connection with Haruko hitting off the mouse, the killer could have exited the house anywhere between 1:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. We're leaving quite a big window of time there. Now, there's also some doubt as to whether he actually did enter through the second floor bathroom window. It seems most likely given the way in which he carried out the murders. The window was also open and the screen cover was removed and left outside. There was also an air conditioning unit, making it possible for him to climb up and get through the window.
Yeah.
The area in the home with the most footprints was in Ray's bedroom, just off the bathroom. So, seems logical.
Yeah.
Also, with how Ray was murdered, it's more rushed. It was the only different method. Now, something that offsets this theory is there's a certain level of physicality to climbing up and through a window, and there was no fibres found on the windowsill.
Yeah, because an aircon unit, they're not huge, and this is a second floor window. So unless he's 7-8 foot tall, you'd still have to do some climbing.
Yeah, and how is there no fibres on the window?
Yeah.
How was nothing snagged? Also, the killer had left some clothes behind at the scene, all of which were in good condition. There was no scuff marks or anything on them.
So he was let in?
Well, this is it. The other option of entry to the home is the front door, which was locked. So if he was someone the family had known and invited in, surely he would have taken off his shoes as he entered the home.
Well, I don't think he'd give a shit, would he?
If he's invited in.
Yeah, but if he's going to be he's going in there to butcher.
No, because if he's going in as someone they know, you're not going to just run in there. Do you know what I mean? Surely you're going to play cool at first.
Well, I think that sounds more logical, but he came in through the door, he was let in, and after he'd done all the killings, went up to that window, cut the screen out and chucked it outside. and then left the window open to throw off the scent.
So you don't even think that it was someone who was invited in. You think it was someone who knocked on the door, they opened the door, he ran in like a madman.
No, he could have been invited in.
But if he's invited in, he would have took his shoes off.
Yeah, took his shoes off, and then when he's about to do his killings, put his shoes back on.
Well, that's kind of the theory there. If he was someone who's invited in, he wouldn't have had his shoes on. But given the fact that he had started committing the murders, there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
He probably would have put his shoes back on, so he's not going to slip on the blood.
Yeah. Unless you're wearing the shoes I got you for work.
They were diabolical. He broke me neck. Well, clearly Neil is behind this theory. I personally don't think it holds much weight. I think the window theory is much more likely.
Why wouldn't there be any fibres on the window?
Could have cleaned it down. He was there long enough.
His clothes were fine.
But we don't know what he was wearing at the time. We know he left clothes, but we don't know if he had been wearing them at the time or what.
Okay. Smart ass.
We're assuming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't know. So, I mean, this kind of feeds into my theory, but if you're thinking it's all a setup, there was also shoe prints found outside of the window, as well as broken tree branches.
Oh, so has he done some like kung fu shit? He's like climbed up the tree and jumped across.
Well, okay, I said about the park, they're all selling the properties on in hopes of expanding the park.
Yeah.
So the park is behind the house kind of thing. They think that he's come through that way and in the process broke branches off, and that was his...
And there's no cameras. This is in 2000s.
In the year 2000, yeah.
It's still a bit early. It's like now it's Big Brother wherever you go.
Well, either way, I'm working off the window theory. You're leaning more towards front door.
Well, you didn't tell me about the footprints and broken branches at the window.
What, so you're back on the window now?
I think so.
You got the wrong end of the branch. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
But you didn't give me all the information, so that's unfair.
Okay, well, forget that then. You're back on the window. You're with me.
Up to now, but you're probably going to tell me something else what'll deter me from it.
But so far, we're on the same page. We're working together here to solve this.
Yeah.
Right, so let's take a look at the evidence. We'll move away from the entry point because it's causing too much drama here. The police have footprints, fingerprints, clothing, blood, and feces. It's quite a lot of evidence.
Yeah, it's not smart, is it?
Well, let's talk about the clothing for a second. When I say he left clothing behind, I mean half of his fucking wardrobe. You ready for this? You ready for this list?
I thought you was going to say like neatly folded up and everything.
He left a plaid scarf, a baseball shirt, which was also soaked in blood. They also know that this particular shirt, there was only 130 of these tops manufactured and sold. And they've only also been able to track down 12.
Oh.
So that's an interesting bit of information with it. There was also a black jacket, which was size large, a grey bucket hat, black gloves, 2 black handkerchiefs, believed to have concealed the weapon, and the other was used as a mask, and a black and grey bum bag. Now, the bum bag, yeah?
Yeah. Fanny pack.
Fanny pack, yeah. They also described it as a hip bag, I think. I'd never heard that one before.
There's loads in it. Chastity?
No, it's a different thing altogether.
Oh.
Now, yeah, the bum bag. Small amounts of sand was found within the bag, and this sand was said to have originated in the southwest of the US.
Hence the baseball shirt.
Well, so you're thinking it's a Yank now?
Someone who's been to America. They don't have baseball in Japan, do they?
I think they do.
They're more like softball, wasn't it? In Japan.
Pretty much the same thing, isn't it?
No idea.
I know a couple of our listeners who are definitely baseball fans. They love it. So that's me off the Christmas card list saying that. They know that the knife, as well as the top, have been purchased in the Kanagawa area. There was also 3 different kinds of fluorescent powder dye found on these items. The police noted that some of the clothes...
Spring break. For the powder and stuff? Or Pride? Don't they throw the fluorescent powder about?
I've never seen that myself.
Or is it in Mexico?
Don't hyperfixate on that.
Okay.
That's kind of literally just... The police noted that some of the clothes had the scent of Drakkar Noir. You know, aftershave? Yeah. From the shoe prints left, they were able to determine that the shoes he wore that night were from the brand Slazenger.
Is that still a brand?
No, apparently. Well, this was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, give him a chance here. Testing of the blood that was found determined that the killer was blood type A. Testing of his feces revealed that the killer had eaten string beans and sesame seeds.
And ice cream.
Well, yeah, I mean, that didn't move that quickly through his system.
Well, that's why I was saying if he was lactose intolerant, yes, he would. Or IBS.
In 2005, through DNA testing, they determined that the killer's maternal ancestry originated in southern Europe and paternal ancestry traced to East Asia, Japan, Korea, or China. So this caused a bit of a stir. It's thought that the suspect may have been Korean, not just based on the DNA results, but multiple garments left behind by the killer originated from Korea, and that would have been the shoes and the bum bag. Japanese authorities did reach out to South Korea for help in identifying the suspect, but they refused.
Oh yeah, because there's loads of conflict over there.
There was a bit of a drama. I think it was a case of Japan didn't really want, because they have a relatively low crime rate.
Yeah.
I think for them it might have been an easier pill to swallow that, like, oh, this was someone else doing it, you know what I mean? And then obviously when they have the ancestry, they're kind of like, oh, there's a chance it could have been someone else.
Yeah.
There was multiple alleged sightings of the intruder, but police dismissed them. One of which being, past 11:30 a.m, near the Miyazawa home, a woman said a man ran out in front of her car. The other was a man who was spotted at the train station with deep lacerations to his arm.
I was going to ask, actually, what's he wearing?
We have so much information, so much evidence, but we know so little in this case. You know what I mean?
Like, he's left so much clothing. What's he got? What's left?
It's a very frustrating case in that aspect. You think with all of this, surely, but... The police are now fairly certain that they have a good picture of their suspect, though. Somewhere in the age range of 15 to 35, height of about 5'7", a slender build, based on the 70 to 75 centimetre waist of the bum bag, which is about 27 to 29 inch waist. So
That's
it's very,
scrawny then.
very, very slim, yeah. And short, dark brown or black hair, judging from strands that were found on the clothing he had left behind. They've also thought it's possible that he may have spent time in the army, based off of how he moved through the home. He kept close to the wall, taking small steps. Police entered the fingerprints into the database, but there was no matches. Over the course of this investigation, millions of people have had their fingerprints compared to those of the crime scene, including friends and family, neighbours, ex-neighbours, known criminals, as well as those in hospital who had any wounds that could match with the attack carried out. Over 1 million DNA tests were analysed, with no matches coming back.
Fucking hell.
I know. A reward was offered for anyone who could aid the police in making an arrest. The reward of 20 million yen was unprecedented in Japan. In April of 2001, a Buddhist statue was found near the Miyazawa home, exactly 100 days following the murders. The statue of Bodhisattva Jizo, who is said to protect the souls of children who have died. 30,000 flyers were distributed of the statue. Now, whether it has any connection or not, it must have been a fairly uneasy discovery to make.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have looked into that too much. Because I take it news spread about this murder.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been someone else attempting to do something nice.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still a bit creepy of a discovery. In the aftermath of the murders, there have been many calls for the Japanese government to abolish the statute of limitations for murder, particularly with the notoriety of this case. And in 2010, they did just that. It really is crazy to me to think that there could be a limitation on something like murder or sex crimes. Yeah. I don't know how that has ever been in place. Over the years, over 250,000 investigators have worked on this case, and there has been more than 15,000 tips. The chief of police at the time, Takeshi Sachida, has now been retired for over a decade. He says that he is still haunted by these murders and continues to unofficially work on the case. Quote, "When you compare victims who die from an illness or natural causes to those who are suddenly murdered, they look very different."
Of course they fucking do. I don't know what he means by that. Of course
because he's saying he's still haunted by seeing the face of the kids and everything. It's ingrained in his memory. It's never nice to see a dead body, but this is a bit worse.
Yeah.
Now, Takeshi, he still keeps in touch with Mikio's mother, Setsuko. She actually keeps a shrine to the family in her home, with her grandchildren's toys displayed. And of course, she's desperate for answers and still hopes for the case to be solved.
Why did she not hear? She lived across the road.
No. This is Mikio's mother.
Oh, okay.
What were you going to say?
No, the mother lived across the road.
Haruko, yeah.
She didn't hear anything?
She was like next door kind of thing. I mean, apparently not. She just, like I said, she went about her day as normal. She would usually phone her daughter in the morning. There was no answer.
Yeah.
Went over with her key, let herself in.
Yeah,
you know? So something that Mikio's mother can't get over is why they would kill the children. She said, quote, "Why would they kill the children as well? If someone held grudges, they could just kill the adults. I just don't understand why. I really don't."
So it's obviously to leave no witnesses, but so this person broke into the house, killed everyone,
yes,
ate all the food, shat in the toilet, and then left. Did it? Yeah. Oh, and messed about with computer, but they didn't actually take anything.
They did, yeah.
Oh.
At the time of the family's funerals, Sasuko was so traumatized and numb. She can't really remember it, but she has been told that she actually had to be carried into the funeral. She loved her grandkids so much. Sasuko used to make the 2-hour journey twice a week to her son's home, where she would look after her grandchildren when Mikio and Yasuko worked. After the murders, she now visits the family home, still able to picture how her grandchildren would excitedly rush to greet her. Now, as to why this happened, the motive is still unknown. There are theories as to whether it was down to either money or, like revenge. Mikio's mother said, a grudge that was being held against the family. But
do you know what it could be?
Go on.
No. Were they refusing to sell?
No.
So it's not the city then? Well, it's like...
You think the city hired an assassin?
We want that land.
Yeah.
They won't sell. What are you laughing at? It's happened.
They were going to sell. They were just kind of trying to get all their ducks in a row. Like I said, Yasuko was worried about her children adjusting. Get all your ducks in a row. Get everything in place before you make the move kind of thing.
Is that saying?
Yes. Yeah, she just wanted to make sure her children were going to be all right before they...
Okay.
So as far as the money robbery theory goes, the Miyazawa family lived in a modest home. You wouldn't spot it and immediately think they've got money.
Yeah.
But, I mean, were they targeted as a home that could have easily been broken into, regardless of the total take? Was it more of an aspect of, I can manage the,
risk to gain.
Yeah. Now, the money that was stolen was not a huge sum of cash. 150,000 yen, which is roughly $1,000 US.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot.
Well, it depends who the killer is.
Yes.
$1,000 to someone who works full time.
That's exactly
a homeless person.
That's exactly my point. So a lot of people think there's no way a person will commit such a heinous act for such a small amount. But exactly as you've just said, that's all relative to how badly a person needs the money.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Neil.
I always am. Why are you so shocked?
Well, I mean, the other side of it as well, to do with well, you wouldn't do something so drastic. Robberies can go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is a very extreme, severe, but look, it's not unheard of that someone ends up getting killed over a ridiculously small amount of money.
Yeah.
And if this is the type of person who can shit in a toilet and not flush...
Dropped a deuce.
I mean, we don't really know what this fucker is capable of.
Yeah.
He's a madman.
Sick son of a bitch.
I mean, in all seriousness though, I don't think it makes a lot of sense that this was his motive. He didn't even take all of the money that was in the house.
Yeah.
And he was roaming about. He was hanging around the house for a bit. He had enough time to gather the cash.
Yeah.
He had enough time to fucking eat and take a shit.
Yeah.
You know? I think the robbery's a little bit meh. So, the other theory, the whole grudge thing, there was supposedly some tension between the residents of the area and the people who frequented the park that was right next to their home. Now, this sounds a bit of a flimsy theory to me, especially as Mikio was described as a congenial man, someone who got on well with everyone, and he wasn't the sort to make enemies. He did make a noise complaint, but I really don't think that's a good enough motive. Mikio's colleagues also commented, stating that they didn't believe it was likely connected to his work either, and that he wasn't working on anything particularly sensitive or controversial at the time.
See, I'm throwing out the theory of burglary straight away because, you're probably going to laugh at this, but I'm deadly serious. The level of disrespect to take the shit and not flush it, that's not part of a burglary.
Well, I'm going to give you my theory as to why, what the motive was, in my opinion.
Wait, so is this unsolved?
Yes. I think I think you're going to agree with me on this one. I think in this case, it's most likely that we're looking at someone who is extremely unwell. A suspect more similar to the likes of Richard Chase. You know, he may have been doing something that doesn't make sense to the rest of us, but to some extent, in his mind, he was able to justify it. It doesn't really make sense why someone would commit such a horrific act and then afterwards leave all this DNA, personal items, such a messy scene and everything, and then just think, sure, it's grand, fuck it, I'll just walk out now.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally left shit,
and
for fuck's sake.
And could have come back and put the Buddha there as well.
Yeah.
I don't like this, doing an unsolved.
Well, like you said, it's unsolved. 24 years on and the case is still open. Although police have said that they want to demolish the house, as they've collected all the evidence possible, Yasuko's sister doesn't think it's wise to do so. After the police informed her that they were no longer preserving the home as a crime scene, she decided to open the house to the public.
Oh.
So she's invited in the media so they can take photos and, walk around. To this day, the Miyazawa family home still stands, with pencil etched into the walls where Mikio and Yasuko had once marked their children's height. And that is the unsolved case of the Miyazawa Family Murders, also known as the Setagaya Family Murders. What do you think?
Well, I don't like this with it being unsolved.
Yeah, well, you have to deal with it.
There's no ending.
At least the case is still open.
Yeah.
Like I said about the former police chief. Although he's retired, he's still working on it. He's like, nah. I'm not leaving it. I can't kind of rest until it's something.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he dropped a deuce and left it, but the fact that he ate 4 tubs of ice cream, I guarantee you weren't running fast or far.
Well, what do you have any theories yourself, or?
I do. So, the fact that they can't find the person with doing, over 1 million DNA tests, I think some of the clothing was from Korea. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I think, like you said, you think it's someone who was mentally unwell. But I think they was also Korean. And I think the level of disrespect was because it was a Japanese household. And the reason why they can't find that person is because they're back in Korea. Makes sense, doesn't it?
No, I don't really like. I mean, yeah, it could be, but I don't immediately buy into it.
Excuse me, ma'am. Call me Columbo. I'm not going to upset an entire nation just because I think that they've gone back there.
I think it seems just a very easy out. I mean, it could be the case. I'm not saying it's not. But I think it seems very easy out to be like, oh, well, they just left the country and that's it. Bye. Done.
But I'm also kind of...
So who do you think left the statue? Sorry to interrupt you. Because you said earlier it could have been.
I think that's just someone who found out about the murders.
Mm. So you're not impressed. I know you do not like an unsolved case. I feel like...
No, I'm sick of it already.
Yeah, I think you're kind of angry at me. I don't feel this went great, if I'm honest with you. I feel like there's a lot of hostility coming from your end here.
It's the same as doing a two-parter.
Yeah.
You get to a bit of the case and you're like, and I think we'll leave it there. Well, you've done that with this, but we're not coming back to it.
Although
so this is worse.
Yeah, but although this case is unsolved, there is so much in it. It's not like a case where a family's been murdered and we know nothing. We know so much about this suspect.
Yeah.
We just don't know who it is. We literally know what the man ate and shit out the following day.
Yeah.
Don't you find that fascinating? We have all this information on him and don't know anything about him exactly.
I think it's ridiculous, but we know all this information, but they haven't got a suspect. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I always feel like you give me a hard time.
No, it's just what...
I feel like recently
they know his blood type. They have his fucking shit sample.
Yeah.
His claws.
Yeah.
His fingerprints.
Mm-hmm.
So DNA, fingerprints, blood type, like they know his blood type, his shit sample.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is to do with, you saying, oh, I think South Korean and all that. Like, I mean, of course, yeah, it's a possibility. But there is also the argument of, like, said, Japanese police have, they have a lower crime rate in Japan, and the Japanese police don't like the idea of it being someone who is Japanese.
Yeah.
They prefer the idea of it's someone who's come in and done this.
Yeah. His waist size, his height, his shoe size. Did he left shoes?
Yeah, they even said his shoe size. I know they said the brand. I don't remember them saying size, which is odd.
Yeah, I don't like the unsolved. Is this the first unsolved we've done?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't like it. Sick of it.
Well, I hope the rest of you guys enjoyed it.
So
I don't want Neil influencing you. I don't want to get loads of hate mail because you're all feeding off of Neil's energy.
Well, we've already learned, but I influence many.
Yeah. Your disdain for me in this moment is like bleeding into the rest of the listeners.
So, oddity.
Oddity. We're staying in Japan.
Oh.
Yep. Have you ever heard of smile mask syndrome?
Of course.
Have you?
No.
Now, I think it's important to note straight off the bat, this is not a clinical term, nor is it a formally recognised diagnosis. But smile mask syndrome has been proposed as a psychological disorder in which a person affected can fall into a depressive state as a result of prolonged forced smiling.
Okay. Sounds like yourself.
I don't smile. If you look at pictures of me, CrimeCon is a great example. There's so many pictures of us. You weren't quite as bad as me. I'm sat there like, yeah, I'm smiling.
Oh, I don't smile in photos.
No, but I think I am. I think I'm smiling with my mouth closed, yeah?
Yeah.
Not a big, toothy grin.
Yeah.
But I think I am. And then I see the picture back and it's like, oh, who hurt you? Are you okay? No. So if you ever meet me or anything and I look horrified, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry. So this disorder was first proposed by Dr. Makoto Natsume of Osaka Shoin Women's University. It was after he had studied the effects on multiple students. So Dr. Natsume noted that in Japan, there's a lot of emphasis placed on young women, especially those who work in the service industry, to maintain a polite, welcoming manner. It's thought that the effects of holding an unnatural smile for extended periods of time can actually cause a person to suppress their true emotions, thus causing depression. It's also said that people who suffer from this have developed a repetitive strain type injury to the muscles in their face, as well as developing headaches. So that's his argument for the condition. I mean, on the opposing side, there's arguments of how smiling can actually improve your mood. It's said that smiling can cause the release of dopamine and serotonin. So the hormones that are going to cause happiness and lower stress.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you, Neil, what do you think? Do you reckon it's a load of shite, or do you think there's some truth to this proposed disorder?
I don't have an opinion because I don't understand it.
Okay,
so you're basically saying someone who fake grins can make them depressed?
Yes. It's basically saying that suppressing your true emotions and feelings for so long.
See, but I do that daily, especially at work.
Most of us do, yeah.
But I don't smile. I just, by suppressing my emotions, I mean, I'm not beating the brakes off of them.
But, I mean, in the UK or Ireland, you still have to maintain a certain manner when dealing with the public in a work environment. But over here, it's more acceptable to not be happily bubbly all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas in Japan, it's kind of more expected of you to keep up that kind of facade, you know? I mean, I would say it's much more likely to be linked with fatigue rather than depression as such.
Yeah.
That it's very tiring to be putting on a mask every day to like keep up with that act.
Yeah, we have to do it with our listeners, don't we?
Oh my God, every fucking time. No, but it is very tiring, and I think that's a nearer likelihood, wouldn't you say? Which, I mean, of course, can lead to depression down the line, but
yeah,
I think this is. I mean, neither of us are qualified to comment on this. I mean,
I agree with you. More like fatigued. Yeah.
Again, like we were saying earlier, both of us, like, we're not qualified, and when we smile, we both look like we're plotting some sinister shit. So.
Yeah. Well, you tell me I've got a half grin.
Yeah, you do. You've got like a cheeky kind of smile, whereas I just look like I'm going to murder my entire family.
Well, that's a good line to say after this fucking episode. Well done.
Oh, yeah. No. Thank you so much for listening. Find us on Patreon, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If you have a case suggestion, or maybe even your own story, email us at mortalmusingspodcast@gmail.com.